Hey, Dave.
Hi, Jerry. I'm yeah, I'm sorry I'm a little late. Was that what you're calling about?
Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, oh, is this right?
Hi. Yeah, I hope so. I think God willing and the creek don't rise will be fine, I hope. But I'm only seeing the top of your head, Jerry.
I wonder why.
Uh, um, that's better.
I can't see myself.
Oh.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's much better. That would work.
Okay. I'm going to keep my arm propped up.
Okay. I um I think we can start talking, but let me, it says 6:57 here. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll wait till the top of the hour exactly.
Okay.
So many things about Zoom that puzzle me. Um,
If you start losing my face, let me know.
okay, okay. That's a little, the bottom of your face is cut off now. That's better.
Now I can't see the top of my face. Why is
Oh
that?
my God. Well,
Maybe I just need to keep scanning it.
well,
Uh, I wonder why.
yeah. Well, that's okay where it is now, but it'd be better from the video. I don't know. I may just use the audio from this, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I get closer, does that help?
Yeah. Now your camera should be in the top of your screen. That's what you.
It's
Ah, there you go. That's. Is there like a little light on your computer at the top of your computer screen?
no.
No. Okay. Um. Uh. Well. Well. There you go. That's great, right there.
Okay,
Yeah.
sort of.
Oh, that's excellent. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Um. Oh, just a scrunch more. I'm sorry. I just there. If you, I don't want to make you uncomfortable. That's very good.
Yeah, I can do it for 40 minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we start 7 o'clock, top of the hour? Greetings, Jerry.
Greetings, David.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start if you'd like.
Yeah. If you would.
David Balog and I have known each other for at least 40 years.
Mm-hmm.
And um, we've talked on and off during that time. And my name is Jerry Hirth, and I'm a 77-year-old person who identifies as queer, transgender, old, and also with Native American heritage on my father's side. And we decided to have this conversation to talk about what's happening now, particularly with the Donald Trump White House. And the scale is so big. It's a whole country and a whole world. What do two old people have to do? Um, but at the very least, we can be public and talk about our concerns, or in this case, my concern.
Mm. And
And
yeah, and our thoughts, we both have ideas for,
yeah,
and they're coming from the common people. We're common folk.
yeah,
Yeah,
we are,
yeah.
whatever that is. My biggest concern is that I've studied a fair amount of history, and particularly European history prior to the Second World War. And I see a lot of similarities to what happened in Germany before the Second World War and the country in which I live now, where there's a leader who people idolize, and the leader can say anything he wants, do anything he wants, and people will agree. And so my voice is a voice that says, I don't agree with what's going on, and it's dangerous.
Mm. Yeah. Well, Jerry, I want to talk about how we got here in this dire situation to me, Donald Trump. And I just want to read a brief uh, message poem from our second president, John Adams, who wasn't a great president, not rank high, but a brilliant man, along with his wife Abigail, who had incredible thoughts about this country as it was being founded. He was the second president, and let me just read this. He was the first president to live in the physical White House, and he only got to live there with Abigail for a few months, but he was overwhelmed with the project, the White House, built by slaves, as we now know. But Adams wrote these brief lines: I pray heaven to bestow the best of blessings on this house and on all that shall hereafter inhabit it. May none but honest and wise men ever rule under this roof. And uh, I know I mentioned, Jared, I want to talk about Lincoln, but somebody like Adams, there, we had geniuses in a way, limited, who, I mean, they had a great idea, and we know that this is an experiment. You helped me on my books, contributed, really summed them up nicely. But I, my concern is that we have gotten to this point because we don't have an informed enough public. Um, Only 60% of us vote. And for a democracy, that's not good. And for the democracy that Adams and the founders set up, that is a disaster. They depended. Benjamin Franklin had famous words. He was asked, "What kind of government have you given us?" And he responded, "A republic, if you can keep it." And it is turning on the eve of our 250th anniversary. We're on the verge of losing it. And I hope we can just sort of, I would like to show people that voting, even though 60% of us only 60% do it, is the minimal responsibility of being a citizen. Um, it's an experiment, and I think Trump happened because we were asleep at the wheel. We listen. If you watch Fox News, you're not informed. They lie, and I'm not trying to be mean or mendacious, or they were their founding principles were to sell a vision that is for this country that is just fake. I mean, they are the fake news. I don't want to get into that right now, but um, I do want to talk about Abraham Lincoln because I think people should know more about him. Everything that's going on now can be traced to Lincoln. He has been called the founder of the Second Revolution, the Second American Revolution, which was the Civil War, the uh, Gettysburg Address, and the three Reconstruction Amendments, which really, for the first time in this country, addressed eliminating slavery, spreading equality. Really, Lincoln looked to the Declaration of Independence for the founding of this country. The word slavery is not in the Constitution. Um, they, the founders, couldn't come to an agreement because they had to appease the Southern slaveholders. So they just didn't address it, except to say that Black people, Black slaves, counted only 3/5 of a person in, in terms of population, which was the beginning of the Civil War. I mean, that's our original sin is slavery. And it took a Lincoln to come to a resolution and to give us guidance. And we have staggered and stumbled along, as Joe Biden used to say a lot, but we've never given up the effort to expand rights. We failed a lot. You know, Jerry, Native Americans have probably gotten the worst of it. I don't want to make it a competition, but women didn't get the vote until 1920. Blacks really didn't get the vote until 1965, and the gay community, we haven't really been included until the last 10 years. And all those three groups, everybody has benefited from Lincoln's work that led to the Reconstruction Amendments, the 14th Amendment, which is an incredible document, and Trump has taken to killing it. Birthright citizenship, he wants to get rid of it. That's the first article of the 14th Amendment. And it basically was written to reverse the Dred Scott decision, which said that African Americans were not people. They were less than dogs. That was the Supreme Court at the time. Their solution to ending slavery, well, just ignore Black people. They don't exist. They don't deserve to exist. It was the most vicious, negative, it's the worst decision until maybe recently of the Supreme Court. And so Lincoln did a lot of work. He was a genius, always voted our best president. And I think people should know about this because it matters today. Undoing his work is, I think, a disaster. And the people who are trying to undo his work, Trump, etc., have given up on democracy. They don't want it. It's over. They It's too messy, it's too costly, and they just want they want the government for themselves. And it's not that's all not a new idea, but um, it's a dangerous idea right now to give the government over to Trump, Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, all Bezos. We can't have a. I mean, we'll see. We'll. So tell me about Mr. Lincoln, Jerry. What do you want to know?
Um, Gosh, almost anything. I grew up with thinking I knew about Lincoln,
Yeah.
but um, in fact, even the Declaration of Independence, of course, I've read it, but
Yeah.
it's kind of, I need more information,
Hmm.
particularly now, because I sense that Trump and many people in the Republican Party are are feeding fear and
Hmm.
anger and excluding people. Um, and so I need to know more about Lincoln.
Okay. Well, yeah, I love to talk about Lincoln, not only because I share the same birthday that he does, so I feel sort of fated February 12th. Um, but he is there are many reasons why he matters, and he was one of our greatest writers, regardless of the position he held. His writings are genius. Um, he saved the Union. It was going to end before he showed up. Uh, we had a series of weak presidents who made compromises and couldn't, nobody had a backbone to address slavery, which was, that's how a lot of the wealth in this country was made, was through slavery. And here's a point. I mean, there was a study done in Boston by the federal government, I believe, or MIT. I, uh, Within the last 10 years, the average income for a white family in the Boston area was something like 200, $300,000. The average savings, I should say, the average savings was $250,000, let's say. For African Americans, hold on to your hat, it was $8. And that tells me, um, well, it tells everybody that we've robbed. This country was built on slave labor. People were not African Americans, slaves, and their families could not earn the generational wealth that white people could. And we are privileged in that way, white people. Um, we didn't have to fight for citizenship, for the right to vote. And this has real consequences. I mean, money isn't everything, but it sure, try living without it, and it's been, um, Lincoln knew this. Lincoln had an incredible sense ever since he was a young boy. He he worked. He came from nothing. His family had no money, and he had to work. He worked on riverboats up and down the Mississippi, and he saw slavery in action. And it's controversial. People say, well, Lincoln didn't really free the slaves, and he wasn't against slavery. Well, he got there. He maybe wasn't at the beginning, but he got there. He grew. And by the time of the Emancipation Proclamation, Frederick Douglass was calling Lincoln the Black American's best friend because he could he could see what the solution was. He could listen. And he didn't, he still had flaws. He wanted um, African Americans to be free, but to move to Haiti or to move to Africa. He even got beyond that at the very end before he was killed. So people have said, not only did Lincoln save the country north and south, east and west, during the Civil War, he got the Transcontinental Railroad running, built. Uh, it wasn't finished while he was alive. That's critical for not just commerce, but ideas to flow from east and west, not in months, but in days. And he was the education president. Uh, Jerry, the University of Minnesota is a land grant university that was Lincoln's doing. And he basically set up the state university system in each of the, well, he didn't do each state, but he made the federal government a partner in giving land to the states so that they could build these universities. And he was very practical. He didn't want he didn't exclude Harvard's, but he knew that this country needed engineers, surveyors, people to do the work of building the country. So and also it's now pretty conclusive that he was a queer man. And that just makes him all the more fascinating to me. Because it's there's a movie out about it. I would recommend people uh, on Amazon Prime. But he's fascinating. He's a genius. He knew that this was a special country, blessed with incredible resources. And had he lived, I think we would have been in much better shape because Reconstruction, a lot of people thought it was a failure. It wasn't. It was 12 years of the most equality this country had seen to that date. But Reconstruction fell and failed because of politics and corruption and racism. Just reared its head. We had lynchings, and we had let's see, do the math, almost 80, 90 years of Jim Crow law until Brown versus Board of Education, based on the 14th Amendment that Lincoln helped establish. So, civil rights is very much on the table right now for everybody. The ruling class, the upper class, the MAGAs, the Trumpies, they're so done with democracy. They don't want it, and this time they're serious. They put out 900 pages, a manifesto of how to dismantle this government, and they're acting on every one of them. That's been the horror of the first 2 weeks of Trump to me.
It's that horror, but also that Trump and his cronies, they manipulate people by fear.
Oh, yeah.
So there's always someone for Donald Trump to blame. And he tends to focus on the most vulnerable. Again, that's, Adolf Hitler found that the Jews and the communists and the socialists to use them to mobilize fear against them. And right now, Donald Trump is particularly trans people, um, voting rights, women,
Yeah,
so that women, there's an attempt to prevent them from making choices about their own bodies and their own pregnancies.
right. Well, Roe
And
versus Wade,
yeah,
14th Amendment,
yeah,
equality, and now it's gone. And that was Trump and the Supreme Court justices he appointed.
yeah,
We need to know. That's one point that just has always puzzled me, but I guess it's true. People don't realize, in general, that what your vote for president is a vote for who you want on the Supreme Court. A vote for Trump is a vote to kill Roe versus Wade, and it and there you go. It happened. Um, and I just get afraid, Jerry, that it might be too late. I don't want to be a negativist. Listen, I'm late in my life. Um, but it's that's why I think when Trump won in November, I was horrified. Just, I know you were too, but my reason was I don't think I'll live to see. I mean, it's going to take work and a lot of work. And I want to make this my contribution to um, helping people understand the stakes and sharing some of the education that I've been privileged to have. And I know you feel the same way. Um, but it's important. It's, I know so many people who just couldn't care less about voting, just don't understand why it's important. And I want to explain. I want to persuade that it matters. I think Michelle Obama said something um, about democracy and government. She gave a speech and she said, "Well, everything depends on it. Everything, the roads you drive on, um, the food you eat. The government subsidizes farmers um, and Lincoln's model for democracy was a government that helps lift people. There was an example in a small town, I think it might have been Minnesota, where Lincoln was a lawyer in Illinois, and he was self-educated. He had 1 year of formal schooling, so he learned by reading, by observing, by his work as a lawyer. He traveled around constantly, and there was a small town. I'm thinking Minnesota. It could be Illinois, but they had to shut the town down because um, their harbor, their little port, I don't know what you call it. Maybe harbor is the best word. They couldn't dredge it. They didn't have enough money. They didn't know how to do it. Whereas the next town over knew how to do it. And Lincoln knew that that town should have stayed open. The people shouldn't have moved because if they had help from their friends and neighbors, they could have dredged that port and stayed alive. But that's kind of the consequences of telling people you're on your own, which is basically why Trump exists. So
He he uses fear
oh yeah,
to separate people.
yeah,
Uh, and even when you were talking about in the Boston area, the difference between the savings of the average white person and the average black person, well, Trump would simply say, I don't know what exactly he would say, but he would blame them,
yeah,
call them stupid, losers, immoral, whatever language he uses to target people. And unfortunately, fundamentalist religion supports him in that, um, condemning people, judging people. It still astonishes me how so much of Christianity is not based on Christ. It's
mm,
based on power. It's
right,
based on power over people. It's
right.
based on feeling superior and judging. And it seems, and somehow Trump has been able to utilize um, that ignorance and that fear and that hatred. Um,
Well, I want to mention to me the big culprit is Fox News and Rupert Murdoch. I'd like to do a show on that down the road. Um, they are the biggest purveyors of fear and lies, and they dominate the media. And for the last 25, 30 years, uh, I had a friend ask me if I plan to vote for Biden again. This was when before he dropped out, and I said, "Well, yeah, of course." And he went on to sort of list his objections, and I said, Mike, you're watching too much Fox News. And he said, what's wrong with that? And I said, well, you're not getting the full picture. You're getting lies. How do you know that? I said, because that's their model. They've written about this. Uh, they are in the entertainment business. They are in the money profit making business. And objective news or an attempt at being objective is not a profit maker, is not um and Fox News is so pernicious. They lied about the last election, and Jerry, we just have a few minutes left. Oh my gosh, like 3 or 4 minutes. Um uh Fox lied about the election, got sued by the election companies like $1 trillion, maybe $700 million. It was a bee sting for them. Um, because Rupert Murdoch prints money. He's 94, 95, and he's just richer than Croesus. But uh, they also have a trick up their sleeve. They'll pass the cost along to their cable companies. Whether you know, watch Fox News or not, you're paying for them if you get cable. And I don't think people realize that. Um, that it's pernicious. Fox News didn't exist until the middle 90s. And it's I know so many people who get their news only from Fox, and it is Trump is the perfect person for them. They're practically running the government now. They send their hosts, their ex former hosts, are now getting approved for these positions in the cabinet. Um, it's I don't know. The media's in big trouble because other than Fox, the others have to be tiptoeing around Trump because he'll shut them down. That's what Hitler did. You shut the media down. And um, so I'm gonna have to sort of start to wrap up here, but I think one of the reasons we need voices, we need our voices, we need everybody's voice to take care of, to take advantage of this technology. We have a microphone, and I'm glad to use it, and I know you are too, Jerry. And we hope people will absorb, like,
And
dislike.
I I hope that people will be curious.
Yes,
And the problem is when you only get information from one source, you're being fed information. It's dulling.
yes,
Being curious means to listen to multiple sources and
yes,
not just from 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 the Fox News or Trump cronies, um, and to have conversations, um, people sharing information, agreeing, disagreeing.
right,
There's almost no listening taking place now.
right. And
And
I just want to share, I think we're going to have to close with this.
sure,
Fred Rogers said once, we live in a noisy, busy world. And we do. We're bombarded with television, streaming entertainment, sports, football. It's people don't have a minute to breathe, and we've got to somehow take a step back, talk to each other, read. Reading is good for the brain. It gives you time to think, and I'd like to sell a few books, but it's we're at a point here where we have to change the culture as much as we can so that we can think and talk to each other. And because otherwise, we won't have this democracy. And we got to act fast. Well, Jerry, I don't want to get cut off, which is what will happen. Um,
sure.
if I go over, the computer will just cut us off. So let's say goodbye,
Okay.
and I think be we'll have this on an ongoing series. It'll be up on YouTube, and I will let everybody know about it as much as I can. And Jerry, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Be curious, everyone. Please be curious.
Yes, it's your life. You matter. Yes. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you, and we will see you again soon. Bye bye.
Bye bye.